Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a card that I actually featured in the Essentials by Ellen May 2021 newsletter. It is this adorable hexagon card featuring the essential hexagons, the essential 4-bar rectangles, and the pieced together stamp set, all that are a part of the new April 2021 release from the Essentials by Ellen line. And take a look at these 4-bar rectangles. You get so many dies in one set. And I love the essential shape dies from the Essentials by Ellen line because not only do they cut the solid shape, but they also create a really fine frame with each pass of the die cutting machine. So it's like a 2-for-1, and I'm a sucker for that. So I thought I would show you how to create a 4-bar card base today. And I'm starting out with a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and I am going to cut it down to 7 inches by 10 inches. Now the finished 4-bar card that we're creating is going to measure 3.5 by 5 inches. So if you start with a 7 by 10 inch piece of paper, you can cut it in half either way to create 2 different styles of 4-bar cards. Now this first one, I've cut it in half along the short edge. So I've cut along the 7-inch edge at 3.5 inches. That's directly in half. And I'm scoring this at 5 inches to create my finished top folding portrait 4-bar note card. So in case you missed that, this measures 3.5 inches by 10 inches and it's scored at 5 inches. Now here's a look at how a 4-bar card compares to an A2 size card. It's a little bit smaller. It's a really fun size, but you can see the proportions are just a little bit different than an A2 card. So your A2 rectangles really don't work well on a 4-bar card. And that is why the team at ellenhudson.com has created a separate rectangle set for these 4-bar cards. And by the way, 4-bar envelopes are very easy to find. So if you're looking for those, you can search them or find them at an office supply store. They're really easy to find. Now in this case, I have taken that same 7 by 10 piece of cardstock and cut it in half at 5 inches along the 10-inch edge. So now I have a piece of cardstock that measures 5 by 7 inches, and I'm scoring it at 3.5 inches. This is going to give me a side folding portrait card or a top folding landscape card. So this is kind of the traditional side fold A2 card that we're used to, only it's in that 4-bar size. So I've taken a bunch of cardstock and cut it down to 7 by 10 inches. And from here, I can cut this in half either way along the long edge or the shorter edge to create several 4-bar card bases. So you see me taking it and cutting it at the 10-inch edge there at 5 inches, or I can take the shorter edge and cut it at 3.5 inches and create those top folding 4-bar cards. The moral of the story is if you start with a piece of cardstock that is 7 by 10 inches and then cut it in half, you will have 2 4-bar card bases essentially. It just depends on where you want to score it then. And like I mentioned before, your finished card base will measure 3.5 by 5 inches. This is such a fun size to work with. They're very fast to create because you don't have a lot of space to fill. And I think it is so fun to attach to a cute little gift, or if you just have a quick note you want to write to somebody. So here's a look at all the 4-bar card bases that I've created. And now I wanted to show you one card that I created for the Essentials by Ellen May newsletter. Now I have the Essentials by Ellen Essential 4-bar rectangles, and I'm holding them up to my card base. And keep in mind that the area that you kind of want to look at for your finished area is going to be the inside of these dies because that's going to be the actual piece that you're cutting. The outside blade is the outer edge for the frame. So I'm just kind of lining these up and figuring out which one I want to use. And you can see here I have a color palette that I've picked out featuring Catherine Pooler Do-Si-Do, Bellini, Lemongrass, Meant to Be, and Aquatini, along with that Ivory cardstock from Hero Arts. Now, I really wanted cardstock that really matched these ink colors, and so I'm going to create my own. And this is also how I create my ink swatches. If you've never checked that video out, I will pop up a card in the upper right-hand corner here so that you can check out my swatch video. I'm using the back side of the Winter Scapes stamp from the Essentials by Ellen line to create some big, large colored areas of cardstock. So I have the back side facing my paper and the actual side that the stamp was intended to be used on facing the lid of the Misty. And I'm inking up the back side of that stamp and just stamping it onto some Neenah Solar White heavyweight cardstock. Now, I was stamping one at a time here, and here's where I get smart. I'm like, I have two of these large area stamps. One is actually a wood grain and one's kind of a snow scene. Why don't I stamp two at once? So I grabbed that wood grain and I mounted it with the back side of the stamp facing my cardstock. So I'm going to be inking up the back side of the stamp. I cleaned off my stamp between colors, and now I'm inking up with the Catherine Pooler Bellini ink, and I'm going to stamp two of these at once because it sometimes takes me a little while to get smart, but I feel like eventually I make it there, and that's okay. So now I'm stamping two of these at once, and then I'm going to move on to the Catherine Pooler Lemongrass and stamp that. Then I'm using Catherine Pooler Meant to Be and finally Aquatini. Now there's something about using an ink to color your cardstock. It is kind of like this imperfect look, but I really like it. And so a lot of times I will create my own colored cardstock using the backside of stamps or using large stripe stamps or something like that, because a lot of times when I create a color palette, I create it using ink colors, not necessarily cardstock colors. So now I have all of my colored cardstocks ready to go, and I'm going to die cut this hexagon from each of the colors. This is the Essential Hexagons from the Essentials by Ellen line. So it creates not only that solid hexagon, but also the frame. And the frames are the pieces that I'm going to be using on today's card. So I have all of these various colors here, and I'm starting out with this mint colored frame, and I'm adding a little bit of Lawn Fawn liquid adhesive to the back side and kind of placing it onto this ivory rectangle that I created using the 4-bar essential rectangles from the Essentials by Ellen line. And I kind of wanted this to be a little bit angled. So once I get the first one on there, then I can line up the edges of the other hexagons. They kind of just fit together like a puzzle. I'm leaving a little bit of space between them, as you can see here. And I am just going to fill up this card front with these hexagon frames. Now, if you don't want to use liquid adhesive, you could put some stick-it adhesive on the back side of these, but this seemed to work just fine for me, and you can see I'm just working my way up and nestling these all together. And I have to say, I really love this color palette. I think that it is fun and springy, but I love the addition of the ivory in there as well. It's an unexpected twist. It's kind of a little twist on the white on white. It's still tone on tone, but it gives a little more contrast than a white on white card front and card base. So once I have them all adhered to the card front that I created using that 4-bar rectangle, I'm going to flip this over and trim off the excess. And if you wanted to use those extra pieces on a different card, you might be able to kind of create a separate little piece with those. And now I have this really cool graphic piece to put on the front of my card. I decided to take this over to my Misty and stamp this hello greeting. This is from the Mondo Tulip stamp set from the Essentials by Ellen line. And I'm stamping it vertically within this mint colored hexagon on the side of my card here. And I'm using the Gina Obsidian Amalgam ink and just stamping that with my Misty. And I thought maybe I'll stamp one of these areas with the Pieced Together stamp set by Brandi Kincaid that was released with the April 2021 release from the Essentials by Ellen line. And when I put one in there, I decided I wanted another one. And then when I put another one in there, I decided I needed another one. And so I ended up just taking all of these various patterns from the Pieced Together stamp set, nestling them into these hexagon areas, and then inking them up using the Pinkfresh Misty Coast ink and stamping those into there. So I have kind of this quilted pattern here featuring these hexagons, and I absolutely love the addition of kind of this soft floral element on this very graphic, geometric looking piece here. Now I added some foam adhesive to the back side of this card front and just adhered it onto one of these top folding 4-bar card bases that I created earlier and pressed that down, and that completes my card for today. It is very simple, but I absolutely love the way that it turned out. I think those really graphic, bold colors of the hexagon frames juxtaposed with these very soft floral elements it's so much fun. And I really love this 4-bar note card size. It is perfect for a quick little note or to attach to a small little gift. They are the cutest little things ever. Now, as always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube, but head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I will have that linked below. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. As always, thanks for stopping by and watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel here on YouTube and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. And if you loved this video, I would love it if you would share it with a friend. Thanks again for watching and spending your time here with me today. Until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.